Thank you all for joining me today for the Cataloging Interest Group for the first one for 2023. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. My name is Britta Dorsey. I am the Development Support Administrator for you all for Evergreen, Indiana. I handle a lot of the training and I help with updating the documentation for you all for the training manuals, sometimes procedures, but a lot of that is handled by your committee members. So today we are going to cover a couple resources that are readily available for you. We're going to cover RDA in Evergreen, Indiana. This is just a kind of a once-over of the most common RDA fields that we find in our records and how they can be entered in those fields that we find. And then we'll go over a couple upcoming events that are happening. And then if you guys have any questions, also please don't hesitate to put the questions in the chat as we go along. I will try to get to them as I see them, or we'll just have the moment at the end if you guys want to either put them in the chat or we can open the mics for participation that way. So as usual, I want to point out that Evergreen, Indiana, we offer scholarships for those with Cat 1 permissions or Cat 1 holders to take MCLS cataloging courses. We know most of those courses cost money, and so we are offering scholarships for those who wish to take those courses to be able to without having to pay out of pocket. So if you contact myself or Ruth about the course information that you want to take and links, and we will get the ball rolling for you on that. I also wanted to point out this page that I've put together of different useful websites for catalogers. It covers information on MARC, RDA, and information on like subject headings and authorities. And it also includes links to more like training information about those if you're interested in learning more about how authorities work. And then some links from the Online Audiovisual Catalogers Organization, or OLAC. They have some great resources for when cataloging video games, DVDs and Blu-rays, and even like graphic novels and things like that. So they're really great tools to kind of look back on and help you catalog those types of items. Also included links for, of course, to our own procedures guide and training manual, and then again a couple external training resources, some that are available through the Library of Congress, through their catalogers learning workshops. They have a number of webinars that they have done that have been recorded and are available on their website. Here's a link for those who didn't see it in the chat before, a link to the slide deck, and those links are active, so you should be able to get to this as well from there. It's right here on the useful resources page. Okay, so for today, for RDA, we're going to go over a couple of we're going to talk briefly about the description fixed field, the 264, the 3XX fields, some of the 5XX fields that we use in conjunction with other fields, the RDA fields, common fields based on item type. We're going to talk a little bit about the subfield Q's and E's that we use, and then also discuss a little bit about how RDA plays into the icons that we see on our bibliographic records. So for the description fixed field, we used to use an A for the description, and that would visually show us that it was an AACR2 record. For RDA, we use an I. And the I is a description portion of the record. The description portion of the record contains the punctuation provisions of ISBD, and we still use the ISBD even in our RDA records. So the I denotes that when we see an I in the description fixed field, we know that it is an RDA record, and the punctuation we used through ISBD. 264 field, this was the replacement for the 260 field that was used previously. The most common setup you will find in our records is the 264 with a second indicator of 1, and the 1 stands for publication. And on a lot of these slides, I want to point out, I put a link in the bottom right-hand side for the OCLC bib formats and standards page for that description. So you'll find all of this information on there. If we do not know the publication date, we put it in brackets at the end in a subfield C. And then we also include a second 264 tag with a second indicator of 4 to denote copyright. And then we put in a subfield C and put in the copyright date. There is no punctuation at the end of a subfield C in the 264 with a second indicator of 4. The text right there, the no period at the end, that is a little misleading. I apologize. It's only when you have a second indicator of 4 for copyright, that is when you do not use a period. If you do not have brackets in the subfield C if you have a second indicator of 1 for publication, you would use a period there, but not when there is a second indicator of 4. And then I also wanted to include a little short key for the copyright symbol. I cannot for the life of me find a short key for the, is it phonograph copyright symbol? So a good thing for that would probably just to find it in your character map and then probably copy and paste it, keep it on like a notepad or something that you use if you use a like a tip sheet when you catalog. 33X fields, this is probably the most immediate visual in a MARC record that tells you that this is an RDA record. The 33X fields, these are the replacements used for the GMDs, the subfield H that we used to use in the 245 tags. We have the 336, 7, and 8s. They describe the item a little more in depth. So the 336, which is the content type, this is how the content is expressed. And then the 337, which is the media type. If the item in hand it's the general type of intermediation device required to view, play, or run. A lot of times for like monographs, print material, you would just see unmediated. And then the 338 is the carrier type. It's the format of the medium that the item is. And these are all use controlled vocabulary, and you can find that vocabulary when you click on these lists. Right here, they kind of break down the subfield A's that you'll find. This is so like spoken word is used for like audiobooks. We use that. Still image for obviously like photographs inside the item, text for a book. Monica says Google Chrome has an accent grid extension. I use it for the copyright and phonogram as well as letters that have accent marks. Ooh, that is useful. Thank you, Monica, for letting us know that. So there is also a subfield B for the 33X fields. This is not required if you have to add the 33X fields to records, but if you put it in there, it's perfectly fine. Okay, and Monica is mentioning if you are interested in looking at that extension that she uses, she thinks it's just called Accent Grid. And that can probably be found in your Chrome browser's extension shop. Okay, so here is an example of the 3X fields in play in a MARC record. So you can see here, this is likely like a kit, likely like a book with an audio recording, an audio book with it. So we have the 336s that explain the spoken word, still image and text. So that kind of tells you that it's maybe a picture book with, a book with pictures and an audio with it. And these fields are repeatable. Especially when you're dealing with mixed formats. And then you can see here we have a couple 337s because we have the audio for the spoken word aspect of the item. And then we have unmediated for the print format of the item. And then we have the corresponding 338s for the spoken word, and then volume for the text aspect. So these are probably the more common fields that you will find in our records, whether they are repeated or just by themselves. These will be what you see the most. While I was trying to update some of these slides, I found, and actually in our procedures guide, that we have information regarding the 341 field, which is for accessibility content. I personally haven't seen, but so I haven't really seen any 341 fields in our records a whole lot, if at all, but it's in our procedures guide. So I wanted to mention it and say that I am going to do a little research. Take a look at our procedures guide section on this. And it talks about the what the subfields are for, and then example entries. And it's saying that the Library of Congress recommended that we use the W3C accessibility feature thesaurus. This link no longer works, I have found. So I am trying to find a person-friendly thesaurus of that so we can continue to use or begin using the 341 with the correct vocabulary. It also, we know it corresponds with the 041, which is the language, and the 532 tags. But again, there will be more to follow once I do a little more digging, and I will absolutely let you all know, begin adding that. We want to make sure that we are using the correct vocabulary for that. Monica is saying the 341 is already in some of the Evergreen Indiana templates that we have. Let's take a look. Probably, let's look at the combo pack. That might be the most. Yeah, so here, for example, I brought up the combo pack template, and we have the 341s already in there. So it's possible they might already be in, like Monica said, and like we are seeing right here, that they are in the templates, and they will be perfectly fine there. So they would be correct. You don't have to remove them or anything. They're there for a specific reason. Other 34X fields that we will find in our records, these are used to record RDA carrier characteristics. So we have physical medium, sound characteristics, video characteristics, any characteristics we may need for any like digital file type or sound or video information to help describe more the information in hand. And this is, let me skip that real quick. It does correspond with the 538 field that we use as well. That usually includes information about widescreen, the sound information like the Dolby and things like that. So because we are talking about the 347s, I wanted to also quickly mention how they come into play when we are dealing with the icons that appear in our bibliographic records. For some of these icons, the 347 is what will allow the correct icon to appear. I have a link to the Evergreen Indiana icons, and you can use this document to compare fields when you're having difficulty getting the right icon to show. So for example, a read-along book, I know sometimes there's some trouble with getting that one to show when you are bringing in a new record and you're cataloging a Vox book or a Wonder book. You want to make sure that the type in the fixed field is an A, you have a Q in the form fixed field, and then we have the 347s for an audio file and one that either says read along book or Vox audiobook or Wonder book. And having these four fields will show the read along, should show the read along icon in the record that you are working on. So it's if you are finding that you are having trouble, if you've imported a different format record and you're trying to update it to, say, the read-along, so you have like an e-resource and then you're updating it, this would be a good tool to use to make sure that you are able to update the icon to the correct format. Already covered that. The 380 field, we are also seeing in our records, which is great. It is the form of the work. This is a great field to use to differentiate between works of the same title. OLAC does recommend taking the term from a controlled vocabulary. So like if you were to take it like from LCGFT, which is the Library of Congress genre form terms, so you would use the same the controlled vocabulary from there for that field. It is repeatable, and they also OCLC. I got this from OCLC. They describe the ability to repeat the subfield A in a single 380 tag for terms from a shared thesaurus. So if you had so here, for example, we have the 380 television programs, and it is from the Library of Congress genre form term thesaurus. We have an example here with motion pictures and action adventure films. And then we, of course, we have the LCGFT. But if you, and then we have the 380 short films, but this is from the GSAFD thesaurus. You can repeat the subfield A for terms from a shared thesaurus, like LCGFT, like the second example. However, if your terms are from different thesauri, they can't share the same 380. They need to be on their own, in their own tags. So you would have multiple 380s that have for multiple thesauri. So here is an image of the common mark fields that RDA that we will find in sound recordings. Of course, we have the 3X fields. It's describing the spoken word. The RDA media is audio, and the form is audio disc. And then we are fleshing it out a little more with the 3-4X's for sound characteristics. And then for print material, most likely you will only ever see the 3X fields for text, that it is unmediated, and the volume of the item. However, when you are dealing with large print material, you will also likely see a 340 with a subfield N with large print, and then the subfield 2 of RDA-FS. And that is actually the thesaurus that this vocabulary came from, which, to be honest, previously I just saw RDA-FS and I was like, okay. But it is RDA value vocabularies for RDA font size. So this could also be used for those items that aren't technically large print, but like the bigger print or larger type books, not large type. Yeah, exactly. Charles says, ooh, that's what RDFS means. Yeah, I did not know that. So the more you know. Anywho. And then video recordings, you can see in this example that this came from a combo pack record, because we are using the subfield 3 to denote the difference between the Blu-ray and the DVD descriptions. And that is correct. You want to use, when you are dealing with like a combo pack record, we use the subfield 3s and the 300 with multiple 300s to help describe each of the item, like the disc, the Blu-ray disc, or the 4K and the DVDs. We use the subfield 3s to help separate all of that information. Subfield Q, this is a brief statement of qualifying information concerning the item associated with a number being recorded in the subfield A or subfield Z. This used to be contained within the subfield A. What we used to do with AACR2 records, it would all just be in the subfield A within the parentheses. But now we use subfield Q to help we add the qualified information in those. And just a reminder, we know subfield or tags use different, the same letters for subfields, but they usually mean something different. So just remember that the 020 subfield Q is not the same as the 100 field subfield Q. And then we also use the subfield E, which is the relator term. That is the relationship between the creator and the work. We use this in the 1XX and 7XX fields. For example, we have the author Stephen Kuntz, and we have his authorized heading right here, but we also have a subfield E with the relator term of author. And then in the 700 field, this is likely a DVD, most likely a Marvel movie. We have Robert Downey Jr., his authorized heading, and then we have included a subfield E for actor because he was an actor in that specific film. And there is a list. There was a list of, I know there is a list of relator terms available. Okay, Jennifer is asking, when you are cataloging an audiobook, what should be in the subfield Q in the 020 tag? I don't believe there is controlled vocabulary for the subfield Q. I think it could be, I will have to think about that, Jennifer. I don't know if that needs to be something decided committee-wise, or if, because I know we currently use it we put in, of course, like paperback, the trade paperback, information like that, and like DVD, Blu-ray combo pack and things like that. But I don't know if we ever thought about, besides when separating, like if we had the library edition of an audiobook and like the market or the trade market edition of it on the same record. I know we would use like library edition in the subfield Q for that 020, but I don't know if there's anything specific that we would need to put in that. Let me write that down and see if that's something that we can flesh out a little more. And then Monica points out that RDA relator terms are in the RDA toolkit. A lot of times that is not accessible unless you have a subscription though, but I'm pretty sure let me see if I have it in here in my favorites. There is a link somewhere, and I know it's not from the RDA toolkit because I have no idea how to access the RDA toolkit, or not access the RDA toolkit. Oh, there it is. Thank you so much. Laura Houston has put in the link in the chat for the MARC code list of relators. Thank you so much. I'm just going to bookmark that real quick. Just ignore me. So Laura has put in a link to Library of Congress MARC code list for relators. So this is where you can go to get the controlled vocabulary for the subfield E. So we have choreographer. If we put in those, a lot of times you will see, let's go down to producer. You'll see producer, you'll see publisher for, and production company for those extra production companies we place in 710s. So make sure you, I wonder actually if I have this in the, if I don't have it on the useful links website page, it will be, RDA relator terms, subfield E. There you go. So thank you, Laura, for reminding me. So that is all I had for you today on this subject. So please, if you have any questions, whether it's about what we've covered today or just anything in general that we may either want to discuss now or something that can be brought to the cataloging committee, we do have a couple members here with us today. So please feel free to type it into the chat. Oh, but also Please, well, I can do this real quick. So attendance, please fill out this form so I know that you attended today and so I can get those certificates to you. Please, 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 if you have any ideas for future topics, please fill out this form so we have something to talk about the next time we meet. I wanted to let you know that the Evergreen community as a whole, their cataloging interest group meets next meet on January 17th at 2 p.m. Here's the link to their wiki. So you can see when they've met, you can see previous recordings and all of that. It's really cool listening to them talk on a grander scale than just like their own consortium. Okay, Debbie is asking, if I see a record that has the date in brackets, but I have the item in hand and know the copyright date, should I remove the brackets? If your item in hand is the record itself, I do not see a reason why you wouldn't remove the brackets. Well, the brackets should only be used in the 264 with a second indicator of 1 in the publication. So if there are brackets in the subfield C, that is more for publication date. And if that's in brackets, then there needs to be a 264 second indicator of 4. So if there are brackets and you have a copyright date, you can leave them. There are no brackets used in the copyright date itself. Robert, yes, this recording will be available eventually online. It takes a while to edit these, but they will definitely be available, and the slide deck will also be available. I will send another link to the slide deck when I send out the certificates. Charles is saying usually the presence of brackets means we are inferring the publication date from the copyright date in the 264. Second indicator 4, subfield C. Now, if there is a publication date on like the TP Verso, for example, but it's in brackets on the record, then you can probably remove those brackets. But if there isn't a clear indication of the publication year, then that needs to stay in brackets with the copyright date, with a second 264 with the copyright date. And then I think Jennifer asked, when cataloging children's books, sometimes there is a 336 still image tag present and sometimes not. How critical is that? I can't imagine it being super critical just because it's not visible to patrons. It does not limit their ability to find the items in the catalog, but I think I don't want to say you don't have to add it. If you have time, please do add it. But I don't think it would be the end of the world if you did not add the 336 still image tag. Robert is asking, in the 008 date fields, which date comes first, the copyright or the publication date? If you are talking about, let's take a look. So when you are working with the DTST and the date fix fields, and say we have the for like T for republication date and copyright date, the publication date will become first and then the copyright date. And if you right click on the DTST, if you're working, and this isn't really a great, because this is the old language. Let's get into a regular record. This isn't going to be a super great because it's not like a multi-date, but we can at least see. Okay, so here's so if you right click on the DTST, you can see what each letter means for that fixed field. And so here for publication date and copyright date, this it gives you the order of, so publication date will be in date 1 and then the copyright date will be in date 2. And let me actually. Okay. No. I'm in the wrong place. Okay, let's see. Okay, according to OCLC, when cataloging according to RDA, higher an examination of the DT-ST hierarchy leads you to choose value T, record the publication date and date 1, whether inferred or not, and the copyright date and date 2, even when the dates are the same. Yes, excellent questions. Oh, also, our next Evergreen Indiana Cataloging Interest Group is on Thursday, February 2nd at 10 a.m. Again, I currently do not have anything to talk about, so please fill in the future topics form, because otherwise I'm going to have to make something up, and it's probably not going to be good. And other information, we will have a barcode buying pool January 16th through 22nd. So if your library needs some new barcodes, this might be a good time if you purchase them through if you usually purchase them through the barcode buying pool. The state library is closed on Monday, January 16th, so the Evergreen admin office will also be closed. And then we are holding a basic circulation and holds and transits webinars on January 24th and 26th, respectively, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if anyone in your library is new or just needs a refresher on these who handles circulation or holds and transits, these might be a useful webinar for them to attend. And Sarah says she has posted a link about interesting information in reference to the 020 subfield Q. The vocab is uncontrolled, so there's a proposal to add controlled information about binding to the 340. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Does anyone have any other questions? And actually, I'm putting a link to the attendance form. I should have done this before. In the chat, the first link is for the attendance check-in. Again, please fill that out so I know who to send certificates to. And then the second link here is the link to fill out for future topics for the cataloging interest group. If there isn't anything else, thank you all for joining me today. Jennifer, if you have a question about ordering, cataloging, Overdrive, who should I contact? I would think anything regarding Overdrive, you would want to contact your, that is a question I will ask Ruth, but I would assume it's your Overdrive manager. Jennifer, I'll get back to you on that, and I'll ask Ruth. And if you guys have nothing else, thank you so much. And let's see, Sarah says you can ask on the Ideal Listserv or Holly Cabot, the Overdrive rep. The name Holly does sound very familiar. Oh, great. Katie confirms that that is her name. Wonderful. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, and have a great weekend.